Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's time for another season, Season 5 of Blood Bowl 3. Let's dive into what's new in this season. So in this video, we're going to go over the new team, of course. We are going to go over what's on the Blood Pass. We're going to go over some of the patch notes. And we're going to be talking about crossplay and matchmaking in the official ladder. So let's get to the team. This time we are getting the Necromantic. The Necromantic have been in Blood Bowl, the video games before, of course, in Blood Bowl 2 and earlier. However, they are slightly different with the new rule set from this book. Some changes have been made to the team. One would guess to make them slightly more different from the undead team, which is otherwise very similar. So let's quickly go over what positionals you get on the Necromantic team. First of all, you have the two flesh golems. Their strength 4, they have stand firm. They look like Frankenstein's monster, thus cool. Then we have our werewolves, same as always. They come with claw and frenzy, and they're really fast, movement 8 pieces. The ghouls, they're also staying the same, very similar to the undead ghouls, meaning they have dodge, they have movement 7, and they do not have regeneration because the Necromantic team do not have access to an apothecary. So if these boys get hurt, there's no chance to save them. With no apo and no regen, they'll die. Now the big change to the Necromantic team is that they no longer have wights, they instead have wraiths. Wraiths look much cooler, but they're also worse in some ways. I think the big thing to realize when looking at them is that they have a trait called no hands, which means they can't hold on to the ball, meaning they can never score touchdowns. They do have some cool stuff though. They have block, they have foul appearance, they have sidestep, and of course regeneration, meaning that A, they're harder to hit, and B, if you hit them but don't knock them down, they get to decide on where they go. Can be very powerful on defense, but of course this means that the Necromantic team essentially only has 2 realistic positionals that they can score with, the werewolves and the ghouls, and at least the werewolves probably want to be doing other things, mainly murdering things with claw. Finally, the Necromantic have access to zombies as their linemen, essentially. They don't have access to skeletons, that's only the undead. And that is the Necromantic team. With the Necromantic team, there are also 2 new star players that they have access to. The first one being Skrull Half Height, which has accurate Nerves of Steel, pass, sure hands, loner 4+, thick skull. So a ball picker-upper and passerer to who? Don't know, but he's there, and he only costs 150k, so it could be an option if you're out of goals and you need someone to hold on to the ball for you while your werewolves are murdering everything on the pitch. Secondly, and possibly a bit more interesting, we have Gretchen Wester? Who knows? In any case, she is essentially another wraith. She's also the Blood Bowl widow, in air quotes, according to my rulebook. More importantly, though, she has disturbing presence, dodge, foul appearance, jump up, shadowing, sidestep, no hands, loner 4+, and regen. She's used more as a run in and be really aggressive piece, since she's decently hard to deal with shadowing and sidestep and disturbing presence and foul appearance. She is also the new coach model that you get at level 50 of the Blood Pass, so you'll be seeing a lot more of her than you will of Skrull, most likely. Now, as we get further into the seasons in Blood Bowl 3, there's less and less things in the patch notes that are like, holy shit, it's finally here. I felt like in the preseason and season 1, there were a lot of things you were super happy to see that had been implemented. And, you know, for the game, it's great that the patch notes are now down to fixing more, like, minor bug fixes and some issues that occur in certain situations, rather than say, oh, there's a, black screen of death, or this interaction doesn't work. So I'm not going to go over all of the patch notes, but I'm going to go over some of them. I think the first two that I want to talk about that are really cool is that in May, and essentially every 6 months, Games Workshop releases an FAQ/errata for the tabletop version of this game, meaning this book. And depending on when, of course, the development team at Cyanide get a hold of this errata, it might take some time to implement some of the changes if there are changes that need to be made. This time around, the two big ones that Games Workshop announced was, one, removing swarming from Underworld, because it made them really, really powerful compared to other teams in a similar TV range, and they've been going on a tier in the tabletop world, possibly less so in Blood Bowl 3, but they have been in tabletop. So they removed swarming, and now, because Cyanide was actually quick and managed to update this for Season 5, there is no longer swarming on the Underworld teams in Blood Bowl 3 either. Now, I tested this on the early build I got of Season 5, and it's true, the Snotlings no longer have swarming. And you might ask, well, what if I already have a team that had Snotlings with swarming before? Well, you see, I bought that guy who's next to me actually before they implemented that change. So this Snotling you're seeing here actually had the swarming icon previously. So I think we can expect that all teams with Snotlings with swarming no longer have swarming. This does mean that the Snotlings and the swarming mechanic is no longer really available in Blood Bowl 3 currently, which is a bummer because it's a cool feature, but the fact that Cyanide updated the roles so quickly after they were announced, also very cool. Which brings me into the other, I guess, more important patch note, which is also an errata change. Guard no longer applies on foul assists, only on blocking, and this has also been implemented. Okay, let's get down to some of the nitty-gritty patch notey stuff, shall we? I'm gonna look over here now. I'm just gonna go through these ones because these are the ones that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this being an issue. Fixed misleading turn indicator in specific drive setups. So at the top of the screen, right, you can see what turn it is, and that one can jump around after a touchdown, or has previously. So hopefully this has fixed that and made it clearer what turn you're gonna start your turn in the next drive. Fixed issue where positional circles wouldn't follow their playing during solid defense kickoff event. So in Season 4, it used to be that if you did get solid defense, you get to move some of your pieces in your setup. And if you did that and you had positional circles on, the positional circles wouldn't update to follow the player when you move them on the pitch. This should be fixed now. You can now use both Pro and Brawler on the same block action when allowed. So Brawler only rerolls one die, and so does Pro, and previously you could only use either or if you had a 2 or a 3 die block. Apparently now, I assume you can use both of them, but on different dice. The first die roll when using the pass skill is now written in the logs. Previously, you could only see what your pass result was at the top of the screen rather than the log if you had to re-roll. So that's been changed now, which is great for me because I never look at the top of the screen. I have my eyes really peeled on the log in the bottom left. Modified time for prayers. The timer resets every time a question is asked, so players can react accordingly. Yes, so what this means is that some prayers of Nuffle require either of the players to actually pick a skill. And it used to be that that timer to react to things was a set 20 seconds, even if more things happened. And now, because there might be a lot of prayers in the same game, if someone is down a lot of TV and then don't spend that on inducements, they're going to get a shit ton of prayers. This rarely happens in ladder because of matchmaking and stuff like that, and you shouldn't have that big discrepancy. And if you do and someone forgets to buy stuff, well, that's just kind of embarrassing. In any case, now every question you're asked during a prayers sequence will be 20 seconds, so you have some time to think. And I think those are the ones that I find interesting. Bummer for me not to be able to list a bunch of patch notes and pad out this video. Great that these are like the ones I'm like, oh, here are the most important ones. Blood Bowl 3 has come a long way, which is great. Let's talk a bit about the other big feature of Season 5, Crossplay. So the other big deal, and this is actually a big deal in Season 5, is it comes with Crossplay. So that means that in previous seasons, each community playing on a different platform, meaning PC, PlayStation, or Xbox, were playing in their own pool. Now with Crossplay, everyone is playing in the same pool. So rather than having 3 different ladders for a season, there's now only one official ladder and everyone plays in it. Now this should only mean good things, right? First of all, and this is the big one, it means that there are more people playing in the same matchmaking pool. So matchmaking should give you matches that are closer in TV and SR, and hopefully games played. In Season 4, I think most of us felt like we ran into an issue where you had a similar TV as the opponents you were playing against, but sometimes they'd played way more games than you, which on the surface is, of course, totally fine because TV should kind of account for that, but with random skills and other things, it still didn't really feel great, because with the cost reduction on random skills, it also means that the TV might actually kind of lie a bit, considering if someone just has random skills and if someone doesn't have random skills, their TV might be the same, but it means that the player with random skills are going to have a lot more skills. In any case, more players in the matchmaking pool should mean better matchups, and in a way, it'll also, of course, tell us it'll hopefully answer the eternal question: who's actually better at the game, PC players or console players? So really looking forward to this one. Really cool to see it finally in the game, since it's never been in the game before. Neither of the previous iterations had crossplay. So let's see what happens, shall we? And for the next segment, we have a special guest, because I'm talking to the camera and she won't leave me alone. Thursday, we're going to talk about the cosmetics and Blood Pass. You don't care about that, do you? No. So as always, with a new season comes a new Blood Pass. If you buy it, you will get access to the Necromantic team instantly. If you don't buy the Blood Pass, you will unlock the Necromantic team at level 50 together with the coach. Now, that takes about 50 games, which for me, when I did it last season, amounts to around 60 hours of playing Blood Bowl within the 3 months of a season. So it's kind of up to you. If you're really keen on Necromantic, you get to buy it for 1,000 Warp Stone together with the Blood Pass, and then through the Blood Pass you get I think 250 of those back. So it comes out costing 750 Warp Stone. What do you get other than the team? Well, you get a full set for the Werewolf, and you get a full set for the Flesh Golem. You get a actually pretty cool looking Shear Leader. You get 2 sets of dice, one of them readable and the other one cool looking, but probably not very readable. You get some random cosmetic gear for other teams. Of course, there is the new Necromantic Stadium, which I'm sure you've seen behind me at times already. This stadium is actually not as dark as it looks in the Blood Pass. It looks really dark and moody, but if you play on the pitch, it's not at all as dark, which I think is nice. It is like thematically cool looking with a lot of pumpkins. The grid marker, though, kind of blends in to the pitch. And finally, one of the things that's not necessarily talked about as much is that there are other cosmetics for the Necromantic team that has been made for the game that aren't available on the Blood Pass and are not in the store currently. You can check them out if you actually play with one of the pre-built teams that come with the Necromantic team, because the higher TV teams of the pre-made teams tend to have all of these cosmetics, which should probably be going around behind me as I talk. And that is most of the new stuff in Season 5. I'm really looking forward to playing with Necromantic. It's going to be lots of fun. So I will see you on the pitch. But before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Specifically, let me know what feature you are looking forward to the most when it comes to Season 5. And expect a lot of gameplay videos showing off both the Necromantic team, but also other teams that might be decent to deal with the Necromantic. Because let's be honest, the Necromantic is going to be flooding the ladder for the next week or so. Goodbye! And Thursday, you are ruining this green screen effect. You know that, right?